Hi friends, today we continue read the book by Ray Bradbury, Fahrenheit 451, this book. So, let's begin. The hound growled. Montag jumped back. The hound half rose in its kennel and looked at him with green-blue neon light flickering in its suddenly activated eye bulbs. It growled again, a strange, rasping combination of electrical sizzle, a frying sound, a scraping of metal, and a turning of cogs that seemed rusty and ancient with suspicion. "No, no, boy," said Montag, his heart pounding. He saw the silver needle extended upon the air an inch. Pull back, extend, pull back. The growl simmered in the beast, and it looked at him. Montag backed up. The hound took a step from its kennel. Montag grabbed the brass pole with one hand. The pole reacting, slid upward and took him through the ceiling quietly. He stepped off in the half-lit deck of the upper level. He was trembling and his face was green-white. Below, the hound had sunk back down upon its 8 incredible insect legs and was humming to itself again, its multifaceted eyes at peace. Montag stood, letting the fears pass by the drop hole. Behind him, 4 men at a card table under a green-lidded light in the corner glanced briefly but said nothing. Only the man with the captain's hat and the sign of the phoenix on his head, at last curious, his playing cards in his thin hand, talked across the long room. "Montag? It doesn't like me," said Montag. "What the hound?" The captain studied his cards. Come of it. Come of it. It doesn't like or dislike, it just functions. It's like a lesson in ballistics. It has a trajectory, we decide for it. It follows through. It targets itself, harms itself, and cuts off. It's only copper wire, storage batteries, and electricity. Montag swallowed. Its calculators can be set to any combination, so many amino acids, so much sulfur, so much butterfat, and alkaline, right? We all know that. All those chemical balances and percentages on all of us here in the house are recorded in the master file downstairs. It would be easy for someone to set up a partial combination on the hound's memory, a touch of amino acids perhaps. That would account for what the animal did just now, reacted toward me. "Hell," said the captain, irritated but not completely angry, just enough memory set up in it by someone so it growled when I touched it. "Who would do a thing like that?" asked the captain. "You haven't any enemies here, Guy." "None that I know of." "Well, we'll have have the hound checked by our technician, tech- technicians, technicians tomorrow. This isn't the first time it's threatened me, said Montag. Last month it happened twice. We will fix it up, don't worry. But Montag didn't move and only stood thinking of the ventilator grill in the hall at home and what lay hidden behind the grill. If someone here in the firehouse knew about the ventilator, then might not they tell the hound. The captain came over to the drop hole and gave Montag a questioning glance. I was just figuring, said Montag, what does the hound think about down there nights? Is it coming alive on us, really? It makes me cold. It makes me cold. It doesn't think anything. We don't want it to think. That's sad, said Montag quietly, because all we put into it is hunting and finding and killing. What a shame if that's all it can ever know. Bitsy snorted gently. Hell, it's fine bit. Uh, it's a fine bit of craftsmanship, a good rifle that can fetch its own target and guarantees the bull's eye every time. That's why, said Montag, I wouldn't want to be its next victim. Why? You got a guilty conscience about something? Montag glanced up swiftly. Beatty stood there looking at him steadily with his eyes while his mouth opened and began to laugh very softly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, and as many times he came out of the house and Clarice was there somewhere in the world. Once he saw her shaking a walnut tree. Once he saw her sitting on the lawn knitting a blue sweater. 3 or 4 times he found a bouquet of late flowers on his porch or a handful of chestnuts in a little sack or some autumn leaves neatly pinned to a sheet of white paper and Tom take it to his door. Every day Clarice walked him to the corner. One day it was raining, the next it was clear, the day after that the wind blew strong, and the day after that it was mild and calm, and the day after the calm day was a day like a furnace of summer, and Clarice with her face all sunburnt by late afternoon. Why is it, he said one time at the subway entrance, I feel I have known you so many years. Because I like you, she said. I don't want anything from you. And because we know each other. You make me feel very old and very much like a father. Now you explain. Now you explain, she said. Why you haven't any daughters like me if you love children so much? I don't know. You are joking. I mean, he stopped and shook his head. Well, my wife, she must, she just never wanted any children at all. The girl stopped smiling. I am sorry. I really thought you were having fun at my expense. I am a fool. No, no, he said. It was a good question. It's been a long time since anyone cared enough to ask. A good question. Let's talk about something else. So, have you ever smelled old leaves? Don't. They smell like cinnamon. Here, smell. Why? Yes, it's like cinnamon in a way. She looked at him with her clear dark eyes. You always seem shocked. It's just I haven't had time. Did you look at the stretched out billboards like I told you? I think so. Yes, he had to laugh. Laugh. Your laugh sounds much nicer than it did, does it? Much more relaxed. He felt at ease and comfortable. Why aren't you in school? I see you every day wandering around. Oh, they don't miss me, she said. I am antisocial, they say. I don't mix. It's so strange. I am very social indeed. It all depends on what you mean by social, doesn't it? Social to me means talking about things like this. She rattled some chestnuts that had fallen off the tree in the front yard. Or talking about how strange the world is. The world is. Being with people is nice, but I don't think it's social to get a bunch of people together and then not let them talk. Do you? An hour of TV class, an hour of basketball or baseball, or writing another hour of transcription history or painting pictures and more sports, but do you know, we never ask questions, or at least most don't. They just run the answers at you, bing, 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 and us sitting there for 4 more hours of film teacher. That's not social to me at all. It's a lot of funnels, and a lot of water power down the spout and out the bottom, and them telling us it's wine when it's not. They run us so rigid by the end of the day we can't do anything but go to bed or head for a fun park to bully people around, break window panes in the window smasher place, or wreck cars in the car wrecker place with the big steel ball, or go out in the cars and race on the streets trying to see how close you can get to lamp post playing chicken and knock up caps. I guess I'm everything as they say I am. Alright, I haven't any friends. That's supposed to prove I am abnormal, but everyone I know is either shooting or dancing around like wild or beating up one another. Do you not notice how people hurt each other nowadays? You sound so very old. Sometimes I'm ancient. Ancient. I'm afraid, ancient. I'm afraid of children my own age. They kill each other. Did it always use it to be that way? My uncle says no. Excuse me? My uncle says no. 6 of my friends have been shot in the last year alone. 10 of them died in car wrecks. I'm afraid of them, and they don't like me because I'm afraid. My uncle says his grandfather remembered when children didn't kill each other, but that was a long time ago when they had things different. They believed in responsibility, my uncle says. Do you know, I'm responsible. I was spanked when I needed it years ago, and I do all the shopping and house cleaning by hand. But most of all, she said, I like to watch people Sometimes I ride the subway all day and look at them and listen to them. I just want to figure out who they are and what they want and where they are going. Uh, I do this anytime too. Yeah, it is interesting watch people in the subway or underground and think about who they are and what they are thinking about thinking about. Mm, thinking about, yes. Okay, go reading. Sometimes I even go to the fun parks and ride in the jet cars when they race on the edge of town at midnight and the police don't care as long as they are insured. As long as everyone has 10,000 insurance, everyone's happy. Sometimes I sneak around and listen in subways, or I listen at soda fountain, fountains. And do you know what? What? People don't talk about anything. Oh, they must. No, not anything. They name a lot of cars or closets or swimming pools mostly and say how swell. But they all say the same things and nobody says anything different from anyone else. And most of the time in the cafes, they have the joke boxes, joke boxes on and the same jokes most of the time, or musician wall lit and all the colored patterns running up and down, but it's only color and all abstract. And at the museums, have you ever been? All abstract. That's all there is now. My uncle says it was different once. A long time back, sometimes pictures say things or even showed people. Showed people. Your uncle said, your uncle must be a remarkable man. He certainly is. Well, I got to be going. Goodbye, Mr. Montag. Goodbye. Goodbye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. The firehouse. Montag, you seen that pole like a bird up a tree. Third day. Montag, I see you came in the back door this time. The hound bother you? No, no. Fourth day. Montag, a funny thing. Had a tale this morning. Firemen in Seattle purposely set a mechanical hound to his own chemical complex and let it loose. What kind of suicide would you call that? 5, 6, 7 days, and then Clarice was gone. He didn't know what there was about the afternoon, but it was not seeing her somewhere in the world. In the world, the lawn was empty, the trees empty, the street empty, and while at first he didn't even know he missed her or was even looking for her, the fact was that by the time he reached the subway, the vague stirring feelings of unease of him. Something was the matter. His routine had been disturbed. A simple routine, true, established in a short few days, and yet he almost turned back to make the walk again, to give her time to appear. He was certain if he tried the same route, everything would work out fine. But it was late, and the arrival of his train put a stop to his plan. The flutter of cars, motion of hands, of eyelids, the drone of the time voice in the firehouse ceiling. 1:35. 1:35. Thursday morning. Thursday morning. No, November 4th. 1:36. 1:37 The tick of the playing cards on the greasy tabletop, all the sounds came to Montag behind his closed eyes, behind the barrier he had momentarily erected. He could feel the firehouse full of glitter and shine and silence of brass colors, the colors of coins, of gold, of silver. The unseen men across the table were signing on their cards, waiting. 1:45. The voice clock marked out the cold hour of a cold morning of a still colder year. What's wrong, Montag? Montag opened his eyes. A radio hummed somewhere. War may be declared any hour. Any hour. This country stands ready to defend it. The firehouse trembled as a great flight of jet planes whistled a single note across the black morning sky. Montag blinked. Betty was looking at him as if he were a museum statue. At any moment, Betty might rise and walk about him, touching, exploring his guilt and consciousness. Guilt? What guilt was that? You play, Montag. Montag looked at these men whose faces were sunburned by 1,000 real and 10,000 imaginary fires, whose work flushed their cheeks and favored their eyes. These men who looked steadily into their platinum igniter flames as they lit their eternally burning black pipes. They and their charcoal hair and soot-colored brows and bluish smeared cheeks where they had shaven clothes, but their heritage showed. Montag started up, his mouth open. Had he ever seen a fireman that didn't have black hair, black brows, and fiery face, and a blue, still shaved but unshaved look? These men were all mirror images of himself. Were all firemen picked then for their looks as well as their proclivities? The color of cinders and ash about them, and the continual smell of burning from their pipes Captain beat their rising in thunder heads of tobacco smoke. Betty opening a fresh tobacco packet, crumpling the cellophane into a sound of fire. Montag looked at the cards in his own hands. I have been about the fire last week, about the man whose library we fixed. What happened to him? They took him screaming off to the asylum. He wasn't insane. Betty arranged his cards quietly. Any man's insane who thinks he can fool the government and us. I tried to imagine, said Montag, just how it would feel. I mean to have firemen burn our houses and our books. We haven't any books, but if we did have some. You got some? Bitsy blinked slowly. No, Montag gazed beyond them to the wall with the typed lists of a million forbidden books. Their names leaped in fire, burning down the years under his axe, and his house, which sprayed not water but kerosene. No, but in his mind a cold wind started up and blew out of the ventilator grill at home softly, softly chilling his face, and again he saw himself in a green park talking to an old man, a very old man, and the wind from the park was cold too. Montag hesitated. Was it always like this? The firehouse, our work? I mean, well, Once upon a time, Betsy said. What kind of talk is that? Fool, thought Montag to himself. You'll give it away. At the last fire, a book of fairy tales, he had glanced at the single line. I mean, he said, in the old days before homes were completely fireproofed, suddenly it seemed a much younger voice was speaking for him. He opened his mouth, and it was Clarice McClellan saying, didn't firemen prevent fires rather than stoke them up and get them going? That's rich, Stoneman and Black drew forth their rule books, which also contained brief histories of the firemen of America, and laid them out where Montag thought long familiar with them might read. Established 1790 to burn English influenced books in the colonies. First fireman Benjamin Franklin. Rule 1. Answer the alarm swiftly. 2. Start the fire swiftly. 3. Burn everything. 4. Report back to firehouse immediately. 5. Stand alert for other alarms. Everyone watched Montag. He didn't move. The alarm sounded. The bell in the ceiling kicked itself 200 times. Suddenly there were 4 empty chairs. The cart fell in a flurry of snow. The brass pole shivered. The men were gone. Montag sat in his chair below the orange dragon carved into life. Montag slid down the pole like a man in a dream. The mechanical hound leaped up in its kennel, its eyes all green flame. Montag, you forgot your helmet. He seized it off. The wall behind him ran, leaped, and they were off. The night wind hammering about their siren scream, and their mighty metal thunder. It was a flanking three-story house in the ancient part of the city, a century old if it was a day, but like all houses, it had been given a thin fireproof plastic sheath many years ago, and this preservative shell seemed to be the only thing holding holding it in the sky. Here we are, here we are. The engine slammed to a stop. Beatty, Stallman, and Blake ran up the sidewalk, suddenly odious and fat in the plump fireproof slickers. Montag followed. Uh, they crashed the front door and grabbed at a woman. Thought she wasn't trying to escape. She was only standing, weaving from side to side, her eyes fixed upon a nothingness in the wall, as if they had struck her a terrible blow upon the head. Her tongue was moving in her mouth, and her eyes seemed to be trying to remember something, and then they remembered, and her tongue moved again. "Play the man, Master Ridley. Shall this day light such a candle, by God's grace, in England, as I trust shall never be put out." "Enough of that," said Betty. "Where are they?" He slapped her face with amazing objectivity and repeated the question. The old woman's eyes came to a focus upon Betty. "You know where they are, or you wouldn't be here," she said. Stallman held out the telephone alarm card with the complaint signed in the telephone duplicate on the back. "Have reason to suspect Attic 11 now, Elm City, EB. "That would be Mrs. Blake, my neighbor," said the woman, reading the initials. "All right, man, let's get them." The next thing, they were up in musty blackness, swinging silver hatches at doors that were, after all, unlocked, tumbling through like boys all rollick and shoot. "Hey!" A fountain of books sprang down upon Montag as he climbed shuddering up the sheer stairwell. How inconvenient! Always before it had been like snuffing a candle. The police went first, and the adhesive taped the victim's mouth and bandaged him off into their glittering beetle cars, so when you arrived you found an empty house. You weren't hurting anyone, you were hurting only things. And since things really couldn't be hurt, since things felt nothing, and things don't scream or whimper, this woman might begin to scream and cry out. There was nothing to tease your conscience later. You were simply cleaning up. Janitorial work, essentially. Everything to its proper place. Quick with the kerosene. Who's got a match? But now, tonight, someone had slipped. This woman was spoiling the ritual. The men were making too much noise, laughing, joking, to cover her terrible accusing silence below. She made the empty rooms roar with accusation and shake down a fine dust of guilt that was sucked in their nostrils as they plunged about. It was neither cricket nor correct. Montag felt an immense irritation. She shouldn't be here on top of everything. Okay, friends, I think I must end it this time. I must end this time my reading. And so, Type in comments, please. Is my reading today will uh, was my reading today better or not? And thank you for watching. If you watch this video till the end. So I think goodbye. See you later in next video. Thanks.